What is up, everybody, and welcome on in to the latest installment of the Fast Five, presented as always by the fine folks over at Superbook Sports. I am back from my championship hangover here in Denver, Colorado. The Denver Nuggets, NBA champions for the first time. I'm still riding that wave, and away we go. Sun is shining. Summer is here. Nuggets are champions. We've got an NHL champion out there in your neck of the woods as well, Mr. Unit, and away we go. Baseball's in full effect. What's up, buddy? How we doing?
Great. I'm glad we're able to get back together and do a show that you're feeling better. And we both got to experience a parade in our cities.
So how was the Vegas parade? Talk to me about that, because I can give you the Nuggets perspective, and I know everybody saw it on social media, but what was it like for the first, core four, that being NBA, NHL, MLB, NFL championship parade in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Yeah, it was a zoo. It was completely crazy. I was just at the Toshiba Plaza right outside the stadium. So I didn't really get to see on the strip, but I saw like the entire length of Las Vegas Boulevard, where I guess half of it is where they had the parade, was just completely full. Like the guardrails was just packed. The players were getting out of the buses and going and interacting with the fans, pouring champagne on them. It was awesome. It was hot. It was extremely hot. It was almost 100 degrees, but a parade on the Las Vegas Strip on a Saturday night, that speaks for itself. It's going to be insane. Yeah. I don't know if you saw, William Carlson had probably the best parade speech ever when he was on the stage. Might have had a few beers, maybe a few drinks of champagne. He was having a good time. I think he fell down the stairs.
Man, yeah, I mean, it was same story out here in Denver, man. I mean, Malone having a good time, Jokic being Jokic, but Jamal Murray, Bruce Brown, Christian Brown. Cool for us, obviously you in Nevada, me here in Colorado, to kind of cover these parades and see how it all's kind of played out. And congratulations to the Vegas Golden Knights on winning the Stanley Cup, and of course, the Denver Nuggets for winning the NBA Finals. So we got a good show lined up for you guys today. As always, 5 topics. We'll speed right through them. We got the NBA draft on the mind, a couple of blockbuster trades involving some big names in the NBA. The Cincinnati Reds, I don't know if they're ever going to lose a baseball game again. And we've got ourselves a little tussle in the making between a couple of cyber heads. So let's break it down. Let's start, my friend, with the NBA draft, of course, coming up this evening. And you've got Victor Wembanyama. Let's start with kind of the overarching theme, because it's Victor Wembanyama and draw the line, right? My question to you to kind of get us started is, obviously the San Antonio Spurs hold that number 1 overall pick. I don't even think you can bet on Wembanyama to be the first pick because of how much of a guarantee or the consensus is around him. Are you buying the Victor Wembanyama hype? He's 19 years old. He's 7'2". He seems to have all the intangibles playing out there in Europe. Is Unit buying the Victor Wembanyama hype?
Not fully yet. I'm not fully convinced. I mean, looking at his highlights, for a guy that big to be making plays like he makes and playing the style of basketball he plays, it's pretty crazy. How many times have we seen a guy with his size and not necessarily his height, but up there, just fizzle out once they get to the NBA? I don't think we've seen a guy that plays the way he does at that size. But I think for me to be fully convinced, he's going to need, whether it's in the first couple of years of his over this offseason or the first couple of years in the NBA, he's going to need like a transformation like Giannis had. I don't know if you remember when Giannis came to the league, he was a skinny, tall, lengthy guy, pretty scrawny, and then he turned into a complete beast. He's completely jacked. I think Wembanyama is going to have to go through a transformation like that to be successful in the NBA, and that could be the difference between him being a legend or being Jin Lian.
That's a great point. And I personally am buying the Victor Wembanyama hype. And, the fine folks over at Superbook Sports, as we get closer to basketball season, we'll get some odds for rookies of the year and all that kind of stuff as well. And he'll be the overwhelming favorite. So if you're in Colorado, Arizona, Iowa, Tennessee, Jersey, Ohio, Maryland, or Nevada, you can go ahead and get some rookie of the year bets going on Victor Wembanyama when it's all said and done come next basketball season. But I'm buying the hype myself. And it's the combination of talent and organization. I'm a big believer in the organization that he's going to. I mean, we're talking about the Spurs. So it's, Is there a better organization that Victor Wembanyama could go to? I mean, bearing anything catastrophic and he doesn't become the number 1 overall pick. Greg Popovich has a track record of working really well with big men and developing them and building around them. I think they've been in a little bit of a lull, and I think Pop is kind of eager to, for lack of a better phrase, kind of sink his teeth into a prospect like Victor Wembanyama and craft him into this next level superstar. And it's really about taking the raw talent, much like Giannis Antetokounmpo, and blending it and meshing it to play in the NBA and to have success in the NBA. And I think if there's any organization, any coach that is capable of guiding Victor Wembanyama in the right direction, it'll be Greg Popovich and company out there with the San Antonio Spurs. So he's hyped for a reason. Am I thinking he's the next LeBron James like some people are trying to tout him as? I mean, we'll wait and see. But I do think that Victor Wembanyama, when it's all said and done, is going to be a damn good player in the National Basketball Association. And that's why, to start it off, it's Wembanyama and draw the line. I know there's a lot of people that like Scoot and like Brandon Miller. Maybe they turn out to be fine players, but on the surface, there's nobody, and I mean nobody, with a higher ceiling than Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. He's going to a perfect franchise to be able to shape and develop him and eventually put players around him and start to build, this franchise around him. And you're right. He's the clear 1-1, and that's the reason you see the odds the way they are, or the odds just not available. He's we'll see if the hype is real here in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I will say he did the podcast with JJ Redick, and he comes across very well, like very intelligent. Doesn't seem like a kid that's starstruck or the moment's too big or is going to get, sucked into the wrong crowds. It seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, which I think is obviously, a good.
I don't know if you saw his first pitch, but I don't expect him to be a multi-sport athlete like Jordan.
Yeah. Did. I think he'll stick to basketball, which is fine. But I will say the picture of the baseball in his hand is like freakish, and it really puts it into perspective, like just how incredibly big this kid is. So he's 7'2", like we said, 19 years old, and essentially all raw potential. So we'll see what Greg Popovich and company could do. Unit's a little bit more skeptical. I'm on board, but we'll see if he'll live up to the pre-billing.
My opinion would be much different if the Bulls somehow had the number 1 pick.
Of course it would be. Of course it would be. Just like I love your tight end list, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Look, I know Mike Dick is great, but I was like, who's making this graphic? You're going to put Mike Dick in there, not Jason Witten? We'll save that for a little bit later on down the line. But you like your home teams. I do respect that about you.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, let's cycle through some other NBA stuff. And here's the thing. The NBA offseason has turned into like the main attraction sometimes compared to the regular season, because this is where all the drama lives. And we've already got a couple of trades in less than 24 hours that have kind of shook up the NBA world or got people talking across social media. Let's go in chronological order with the first one, and that being the Boston Celtics making a trade for Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, you remember Kristaps Porzingis, drafted by the Knicks, played with the Mavericks, with the Wizards, and now all of a sudden he's on the Boston Celtics. And I don't really know what to make of that, but it's an interesting trade because it's a 3-team trade between the Wizards, the Celtics, and the Memphis Grizzlies. And the Memphis Grizzlies also end up with Marcus Smart. So the Celtics trade away Marcus Smart to Memphis, bring in Kristaps Porzingis, and obviously like what Porzingis brings to the table. So the Celtics are getting Porzingis, a first-round pick in 2023 and 2024. The Wizards get Tyus Jones, the 35th pick this year, so tonight. And they get a couple of players as well, including Danilo Gallinari, and the Memphis Grizzlies straight up get Marcus Smart. Your overall reaction here to the Boston Celtics decision to trade away Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies and acquire Kristaps Porzingis?
Yeah, so it doesn't really move the needle a whole lot for me. I know that it changed the odds. I'm not sure exactly why that Porzingis is really changing much of the outlook on the Celtics, but to me, it doesn't really matter because before I already had the Celtics as being the team to beat in the East, so I don't think that really changes a whole lot to that team and that team dynamic. I maybe just, a little bit of a change of scenery and shaking a little things up for the team might benefit them a little bit, but they were the team to beat, in my opinion, in the East before the trade, and they still are. So I don't think it changed a whole lot, in my opinion.
How does this move the odds? In a positive direction for the Celtics. What is Kristaps Porzingis? And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but how does Kristaps Porzingis move the needle? You're also kind of losing your heart and soul in Marcus Smart. I understand that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are kind of your guys. Jason Tatum fades when the lights are the brightest, and we learned that Jaylen Brown might not know how to dribble. So you're going to take away your one guy in Marcus Smart that has been kind of the heartbeat of your team and has played defense, and it brings energy every night. Great get for Memphis, might I add. And the odds move for the Celtics. They're now plus 550 to win the NBA Finals, tied with my Denver Nuggets, which is absurd to me because the Nuggets should be the clear-cut favorite with nobody else, in my opinion, but I'm biased, of course. I'm sitting here, and I agree with you, Unit. Like, before this trade, the Celtics are still the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. I'm just more so perplexed that acquiring Kristaps Porzingis moves the odds. Like, what is that implying? And, like, that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, because Kristaps Porzingis is a solid player. He's not a needle mover, in my opinion. So that's why I'm sitting here. Celtics at plus 550. I don't really understand the movement after the trade.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, but I think we're going to have to see what they do with that 25th overall pick too, and how that develops. So, like I said, I don't think it changed very much for me. They're still the team to beat in the East.
Yeah, no, I'm with you as well. So let's move along to the Western Conference, where the Wizards just moved on from the Kristaps Porzingis trade and said, we're open for business. They make a deal with the Golden State Warriors to flip CP3 to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Jordan Poole and a couple of other assets. So the overall breakdown for this trade, the Warriors get one player. That's Chris Paul. The Wizards are getting Jordan Poole, a 2030 2030 protected first-round pick, and a 2027 second-round pick. So
2030? I didn't even know you could trade picks that far ahead.
Yeah, we're into the next decade now. So I'll be in like my mid-30s by the time that pick is, used up or whatever it might be. But a pretty big trade because, I know a lot of people like to hate on CP3, but you talk about going to a place with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, maybe Draymond Green. Steve Kerr's an excellent head coach. We know there was a little tension with Jordan Poole and whatnot. What's your overall opinion on this trade with Chris Paul going to the Warriors? And I know you and I were chatting about it before. Significant movement on the odds in that perspective.
Yeah, if you want to talk movement, I mean, this is way different than the Celtics deal. I mean, the Warriors go from 18-1 to 10-1 today just because of this deal right here. I think there could be more moves on the horizon for the Warriors, whether that's, Klay or Draymond. I don't think they're done. It's going to be a long offseason. We're going to see kind of how this shapes out, but seeing such a significant move like that is definitely interesting. In my opinion, I don't think any of it matters. It's like those memes you see on Twitter where it's like all this just to stop this. All of this is to stop this, and this is Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, and I don't think it's really going to matter. They're celebrating right now. You look at the odds; they're the favorite in the West, and altogether alongside the Celtics at plus 550, as you mentioned. All of this to stop the Nuggets. I don't know if it's enough.
The Nuggets, 4 of the 5 players in the Nuggets starting 5 are not at the end of their prime. They're either in the middle of their prime or at the beginning. Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic are all in that vicinity. You add in a guy like Christian Brown, who had some impressive minutes in the postseason, a year older, a year wiser. We'll see what Peyton Watson can evolve into. The Nuggets got themselves some draft picks tonight as well, so we'll see how that plays out. So I just think it's interesting, in your point about, all this to beat this, I think is relevant. Now, let me say this, though. I do think that the acquisition of Chris Paul helps the Warriors I don't want to say a significant way, but in a big way, because what we saw is when Stephen Curry was not in the game for Golden State last year, their offense was just a mess. They had no point man, nobody that can kind of keep the flow of the offense going. So Chris Paul, albeit, even at his veteran age right now, I think is stepping into a situation where he's going to be set up for success. And I know the Warriors fans have picked on Chris Paul for the last 4 or 5 years, so it's kind of a weird, reconciliation per se. But I do think it's a good move for Golden State, who, have made numerous moves, whether it was Kevin Durant, Boogie Cousins, drafting James Wiseman, and Andrew Wiggins, and now Chris Paul. They have done an excellent job of trying to continuously set themselves up for success on a championship run. And like you said, it went from 18-1 down to 10-1. That's for good reason. Love or hate Chris Paul, he's going to be an accent player on a team with a championship pedigree. So I do think it's a smart move, and you get rid of Jordan Poole too, who seemed to have been butting heads with some of the players in that locker room.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could see that the whole West is kind of preparing for exactly what we said. You got to beat the Nuggets. They're the team to beat right now. So you saw the Suns making moves, the Warriors making moves. We will likely see the Lakers do something this offseason. The West is definitely taking notice of the Nuggets, and while the Nuggets have an opportunity to kind of build and start building a dynasty, and the West is kind of just reloading right now to go to battle with the Nuggets.
Yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. If any of you want to bet the Nuggets at plus 550 to win the title, or if you want to get in on Golden State, Phoenix, whatever it might be sure to use my promo code APBETS when you sign up with Superbook Sports for a bonus up to $250. That's promo code APBETS when you sign up with Superbook Sports, and away we go. But we also are in
Colorado. If you're in Colorado, we've got the Nuggets boosted to 7-1 right now for next year.
It's the best price you're going to get anywhere preseason. Bearing an injury, that's the best price you're going to get at any shop, anywhere, any state, any country. Be sure to get those bets in with Superbook.
Probably throughout the season too, and unless they get into a big slump. But
yeah,
I don't know if this team's built to get in a big slump.
Well, Michael Malone will not let them go into a big slump, to put it that way. But okay, let's move along to the baseball diamond, my favorite sport, one of your favorite sports as well, and a team in your division. Cincinnati Reds, baby. They've won 11 consecutive games as of this recording. It seems like calling up Elly De La Cruz really kind of lit a fire under this team. They get Joey Votto back this week, making his season debut. He hits a home run. I love Joey Votto. I know he plays in your division, but he's just kind of one of those players that I got a soft spot for. Weird guy. I like that kind of stuff. They've won 11 straight games. They're currently leading the Central Division at 40-35, game and a half lead on the Milwaukee Brewers for first place to win the division. You buying this Reds hype? You think this is just a flash in the pan, or you think this team's got some real momentum?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm a Cubs fan, so I think I could have some good input here. But as someone who follows the NL Central a lot, yeah, since calling up Elly De La Cruz, they've won, I think, 10 out of the 11 games that he's played in. So they're on fire. Actually, it might even be more than that because they're on the 11-game win streak. But with that 11-game win streak, more than half of those games are against the Rockies and Royals. So I don't know how hot they really are. But the entire NL Central, with exception of the Pirates, who are on a 9-game losing streak, is pretty hot. I mean, the Cubs have won, I think, 10 out of 12 games or 9 out of 11. The Brewers are pretty hot. The Cardinals, they lost yesterday, but before that, they were on a 5-game win streak, before they got really cold. But as a Cubs fan, someone who follows the NL Central, the Reds aren't really a team that scares me. I don't think that they're in the win now mode right now. I think next season is kind of going to be their window, and I think that's what they're prepared for, is building around for next season and for the future. In the NL Central, they're the most well-built for the future, but I think even the Cardinals being in last place and being 9 or 10 games out, whatever they are, they scare me as a Cubs fan more than the Cincinnati Reds do.
I think that's fair, and I think a lot of people are waiting for the Cardinals, for lack of a better phrase, to wake the bleep up, because they have been bad, and not just bad for their standard, bad in general. They're one of the worst teams in the National League. And I think, looking at the standings here, obviously, if the season ended today, Cincinnati would win the division, so they'd automatically be in the postseason. But, with the expansion, 6 teams making the postseason in each league, you got the Dodgers right now, who are currently penciled in as that 6th team at 41-33. And right below the cutoff line is the Milwaukee Brewers, who, of course, the Reds have the game and a half lead on the division. So, the Reds are going to be in the mix, man. And I always kind of root for those, smaller market teams that haven't been good in a long time. Remember when Pittsburgh had Garrett Cole and McCutchen? Like, I was always kind of backing them. There's a lot of instances of these, smaller market teams. And so I want Cincinnati to go ahead and keep this momentum. Hunter Green is an interesting prospect, grew up kind of close to where I did in California. I said, Votto, I want to see him get back to the postseason one time. And also the fans. Like, I know that it's your competing fan base, but like, I think it was their owner or their GM who came out like a year or two ago and was basically telling the fans to suck their thumbs or go root for another team. So I'm happy that the Red fan is getting something to kind of hang their hat on, for lack of a better phrase. And Elly De La Cruz, man, he's the truth. I'm not buying the Reds hype season long, but I'm enjoying the ride so far.
Yeah, I think that ride is about to end because, as I mentioned, they had, the Rockies and the Royals. They did play the Astros, and they ended up sweeping the Astros, who have been playing really poor as of late. The Cardinals they had before, who've also been playing pretty poor before they got on that little win streak. But now they're about to go through a gauntlet. They've got to play the Braves, who are red hot right now. They've got to play the Orioles, who have been impressive all season long. And then they've got the
Baltimore Orioles.
They're about to go on like a 9-game gauntlet right here that could kind of send them back to where they belong.
Yeah, we'll find out. And they are a team that's playing for another day. And this flash of the pan, whether it is a flash of the pan or not, is exciting. But regardless, I think the Reds have a pretty bright future ahead of them with De La Cruz and some of these other young players. So we'll see how it shakes out. They're right around 4-1 odds to win the Central if you want to take a shot at that. And we're getting closer to July. So the fact that the odds are that long, I think, is an indication of, where the books are at in regards to the flash in the pan factor versus sustainability. So that tells you all you need to know. And Ellie De La Cruz, I know he hasn't played enough games. He's plus 950 to win Rookie of the Year. No one's going to catch Corbin Carroll, who's like the runaway favorite right now for Rookie of the Year. But, there's a bright future with the Cincinnati Reds organization. And, I'm excited to see how it shakes out. So,
yeah, there's nervous about that. No, there's no doubt that they're built for the future and they have a great future. But, as much as it kills me, I did have to bet a little bit on the Cardinals 12-1 to win the NL Central. They had such a rough start to the season and they still are, deep down in last place when the rest of the NL Central was pretty hot. But I just see a lot of good value in that team. When you look at their lineup, it's arguably the best in the MLB. They've got to figure out the pitching. The pitching is just piss poor. And then there's pressure on, the GM, John Mozeliak. Why isn't this working? Why are they in, last place? It's going to be interesting to see what they do at the deadline. If they are to add a pitcher, whether they go out and get someone like Lucas Giolito or Dylan Cease or any of those other pitchers that might be on the trading block come trade deadline time.
Yeah, I was reading something for the Cardinal hater out there or just looking to make some money. Fading Jordan Montgomery this season has been extremely profitable. I believe he's the most profitable pitcher that you could bet against every single game up until this point. And Jordan Lyles of the Kansas City Royals, who I just feel kind of bad for. I mean, they've lost every game. He's touched the ball to start the game, they lose. It's tough, man. So baseball is not an easy game, but we'll see what happens with the Cardinals, the Reds, the Cubs, everything going on in the middle of the country as Major League Baseball is concerned. Okay, now let's pick we got a bone to pick. I got some beef with you.
Okay.
I don't understand what this tight end Mount Rushmore concept that you guys put out is. And I don't understand how you could have a tight end Mount Rushmore with honorable mentions that does not include number 82, Jason Witten. And I understand there's been a lot of great tight ends. We'll talk about it. How do you create a graphic? I don't know if it was you or somebody else or whoever it was back there. How are you going to do my guy Jason Witten dirty like that? You can't tell me that Jason Witten is not one of the top 10, maybe top 5 tight ends to ever play the sport. Ever. Disrespect from Superbook. Disrespect.
Okay, so to clear this up, I did make this graphic. So those are, I guess in my mind, this is what the Mount Rushmore would look like, is those 4, and then you got the honorable mentions at the bottom. So I started adding more honorable mentions, all right, because I have the top 10 in my mind, and I do have Jason Witten in the top 10, but he's either 9 or 10. So I've got the 2 guys that were left off were John Mackey, the old Baltimore Colts tight end, and Jason Witten. So those were the 2 that didn't make the cut on the graphic, but they're still in my honorable mentions, if that makes you feel any better.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't think that you could have a graphic like that and not have Jason Witten. I'm just saying. And I got the stats to back it up. Look, you want to say he doesn't belong in the Mount Rushmore top 4, whatever it might be. You're talking about a guy in Jason Witten that is second behind only Tony Gonzalez in all-time receiving yards at the position, 5th all-time in touchdown receptions with 74, and number 1 all-time in games played at the position with 271 games played. 3rd in short situation, 3rd in goal situation. You need someone to lay down a block or find the soft spot in the defense zone. Jason Witten is your man. And he had bad quarterbacks at the beginning of his career, a washed out Drew Bledsoe, a young Tony Romo who could not stop throwing interceptions, and then Dak Prescott at the end. And then he went to Vegas or whatever it might be. Jason Witten is the epitome of consistency. And look, I'm a homer, I'm biased. He's first NFL jersey I ever owned. But I'm saying, game for your life, situation for your life. Look at the stats. 2nd all-time behind Tony Gonzalez receiving yards. 5th all-time in TD receptions. Number 1 all-time in games played. Game for your life. Play for your life. 3rd and 2. 3rd and goal. Out route. Crow route. I trust nobody more at the history of the position than Jason Witten to get the job done. Sorry.
No, you're right. He's a great tight end, all-time tight end, and he's the 9th overall best tight end ever.
Also, how do you have Shannon Sharp as an honorable mention? How is Shannon Sharp not like on the Mount Rushmore? You want to talk about impact? Look,
all right, you got a bone to pick with my Mount Rushmore. Who are you for?
I agree with 3 of the 4. I'm keeping Tony Gonzalez, I'm keeping Antonio Gates, and I'm keeping Travis Kelce, which means I'm getting rid of
Wow.
Rob Gronkowski. And the
Gronk.
only reason I'm getting rid of it is I think as good as Gronk is, he's a product of Tom Brady. As good as he is individually, I do not believe if you put any other quarterback back there, Rob Gronkowski is not the Rob Gronkowski we know and love today. That's why I take him out. And honestly, I probably put Shannon in. My beef with Jason Witten is that he's not on the list. Like, not even as an honorable mention. Like, that to me is it's kind of a disgrace unit, if I'm just being honest with you. No, but if I had to go my Mount Rushmore, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Kelsey, Shannon Sharp.
All right. That's fair. But you mentioned Gronk being a product of Brady. Do you not think the same for Kelsey being a product of Mahomes in that?
We saw how good Kelsey was. Like, Kelsey got taken to another level with Mahomes, but Kelsey was still really, really good with Alex Smith and kind of doing more, like, I don't want to say doing more with less. I just like Rob Gronkowski's entire career is tied to Tom Brady. At least with Kelsey, we've seen, outside of the Patrick Mahomes era, he's also more durable. That's the other thing with Gronk is I had to put durability into this as well. Is I love him. I love Gronk, but the health is certainly a factor as well. So that's kind of my thought process. As soon as I saw Mike Ditka on the graphic, and I like Mike Ditka, I was like, I knew exactly who made this graphic. And I know exactly why Mike Ditka made the cut over Jason Witten. Not a lot of hate. I understand it coming from you. I'm just saying facts are facts, my friend. Facts are facts.
Hey, Mike Ditka, I think you got to go look back at some of those games in the 60s. His rookie year, he had like 1,100 yards, and they only played 14 games back then.
Hey, let me pull a J.J. Redick for football. He was playing against firemen and plumbers. It doesn't count the same way that it does.
Oh, there was no penalties back then. So
yeah, no, I'm joking. I mean, it's actually a great debate, and I think all of the names that are presented, minus Jason Witten, which is why I brought all this up, or obviously you can make strong cases for either of these guys to be in the Mount Rushmore. And tight end is also kind of my favorite position in the NFL. Like, I just love it. Like, I never played it or anything, but it's like you can block, you can receive, you can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's the ultimate secret weapon
in the league because you're basically a lineman and a wide receiver at the same exact
exactly. And that's where Tony can. I think everybody can agree that it's pretty much Tony Gonzalez and draw the line.
Yeah,
I mean, with what he was able to do in his career, Kansas City, Atlanta, and whatnot. So, yeah, man. I'm just disappointed. No Jason Witt. I just had to make my feelings known. So thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time.
All right, we might have to add an editor's note to that post at some point.
Oh man! All right, let's move along into Hope you guys got your popcorn ready. You're reading the little side scroller. We saved the best for last, or the most intriguing for last. We've got ourselves a fight in the works. Whether or not it comes to fruition, I'm not so sure. And it's not between professional fighters. It's between professional entrepreneurs, I guess you could say, professional business moguls. Elon Musk, you're watching this show on his platform right now. Elon Musk apparently wants to throw down with Mark Zuckerberg. So Elon, Tesla, Twitter, all that, Zuckerberg, Facebook, Instagram, Meta, all that. Apparently they're trying to fight. So Elon put it out there, teased it out there on Twitter about I'd be down to do a cage match with them. And Zuckerberg actually hit him back on Instagram with the classic, send me location, quoting Habib from back in the day with the UFC. And then we got Dana White talking about how he's been kind of playing moderator between the two. It seems like this is more than just talk. It seems like maybe there's a real chance that this could happen. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg throwing down in a ring or an octagon. What do you make of this madness?
Yeah, I love Dana getting involved in this. I saw yesterday, almost immediately, he posted an Instagram story and he's been posting about it today. I saw he went on some kind of interview today saying that this could be the biggest fight of all time. And it just be between these two billionaires. I think it would be extremely entertaining. But when it comes to the odds for this fight, I think Elon has no chance. I don't know what the format of the fight would be, whether it's a boxing, like a Jake Paul style 8-round boxing match which I don't think either of these guys could probably go 8 rounds. Or if they actually do it in an octagon, like Elon said, he said Vegas octagon. If they want to do it real MMA, you could not make the price high enough. Zuckerberg, he's been training jiu-jitsu. He looks a lot more fit. He's smaller than Elon, but none of that matters when he has training under his belt. And Elon looks like a potato with his shirt off, and I don't think does any sort of physical activity at all. So I think Zuckerberg, no matter the format of this fight, kind of wipes the floor with Elon, despite being like 4 or 5 inches shorter and probably he weighs probably a lot less than Elon.
Yeah, and in a quick Google search, Zuckerberg is listed at 5'7". Elon is listed at 6'1". So I mean, it's honestly, if I was fighting you, to be honest with you, I mean that. So it's like from a size perspective, but I agree with you. It's like you hear all the time about like these tech bros that like get really rich and like learn how to become DJs and stuff. Like that's like their fun pastime. It seems like Zuckerberg has gone the other way and is trying to become a BJJ enthusiast and an expert MMA fighter. So yeah, I would have to put my money hypothetically on Zuck just because of the experience, the pedigree, and the background. But I don't know, man. Maybe Elon, like, you're talking about two crazy men. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if these two ever meet. I'd be hyped, though. I'd pay the money. I'd pay for a pay-per-view to see Elon Musk fight Mark Zuckerberg. That'd be insane in the year 2023, 2024, whenever it happens. And it seems like, I don't know, if I had to put it at a percent chance, I'd say there's like a 25% chance it happens.
That sounds about right. But I mean, Dana was really serious about this. He wants to make it happen. And like you said, there's going to be millions of people probably that want to buy this fight, want to watch this fight. And if they're both down for it, it's definitely going to have a market. People are going to want to watch it. I saw, if there's any sort of striking involved, it might be a little bit cringe. It might be hard to watch these two guys actually strike. So I think it's going to be some kind of wrestling, jiu-jitsu. Obviously, Elon's going to have to train for something like that since Zuckerberg already has a leg up on him like that. But I did see in an interview that Elon said his move is called the walrus, where he just lays on top of his opponent. So we could see that.
Maybe Elon hires Aaron Rodgers to be his spiritual coach, and they do an ayahuasca retreat together. And that, like maybe that's the mental edge that Elon needs to take down Zuckerberg, despite the training difference. I mean, you're telling me, we're talking about the wealthiest of the wealthy. Like these guys, like they ain't just going to a gym and running on a treadmill and punching a bag and sparring. Like, they're going to do some headset training thing. I don't know, man. I would love to see behind the scenes training footage of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg.
Maybe that's what it's going to be. It's going to be some kind of metaverse fight.
It's a good idea. Let me ask you this. If you were Jake Cornegay or John Murray or anybody, hypothetically, what would you price this fight at? Hypothetically.
I don't know.
Let's say it's a boxing match. Let's say it's just a 12-round Jake Paul style boxing match.
I would say if it's boxing like that, it would have to be Zuckerberg pretty heavily still.
I'm thinking at least minus 200 and above. There's no way you get Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I would say probably minus 350, minus 400.
Yeah.
In boxing, if you add in any sort of grappling or any sort of martial art, I think that changes drastically.
Yeah, then it's like Zuck minus 1,000 if that's the case.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now I want it to happen, man. I'm excited. I want it to happen. I want to see Elon with all of his, just both guys, man. Like they're both interesting freaking dudes. That's probably the only way that I could put it without being not safe for work. They're two characters, for lack of a better phrase, and to see them throw down, like it's the ultimate gladiator sport. It'd be incredible. That's it's like if Bill Gates fought the creator of Sony. It's a story as old as time.
Yeah, I think it is kind of interesting that Zuckerberg goes on like a year or whatever of jiu-jitsu training and he gets fit. And then he decides to call out his competitor who doesn't do any sort of physical activity at all. So he waited until that he was prepared and ready for something like this to call out his competitor that clearly is not ready.
Yeah, send me location. Send me location. We'll see if a location.
Let's make it happen. I want to see the fight.
Do it on like a yacht or, maybe build a floating ring in the middle of the ocean in Dubai or something. I'm
sure the ideas are churning in the head of Dana.
Do it on a SpaceX flight. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways they could go about this. But, hey, if you want to get any bets in on anything that's actually happening, if you live in Colorado, Arizona, Iowa, Tennessee, New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland, Nevada, and some other states coming soon, be sure to get those bets in with Superbook Sports. You can use the promo code APBETS, and you'll get a promo or a bonus with $250 when you sign up today, deposit, wager, all that good stuff as well. APBETS is the promo code to use with our friends over at Superbook Sports. But my friend, What else? You got any closing thoughts? Anything you want to get off the chest? Any more beef? What do you got for me? Anything?
No more beef. I'm gonna, give you some credit here. We got the NBA draft going on. I want to bring it to the people and give you credit that you brought to the surface the Jokic Taco Bell commercial. He was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial, and you were the one who brought that to the surface. It's been picked up by everybody. So I just want to give you the proper credit. Obviously, people saw that. I think it was forgotten about, but you brought it to the surface that Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. So props to you.
It's my one claim to fame, and I appreciate you for bringing that up. When you think of whoever discovered the quesarito situation for Jokic, right here. I was a sophomore in college, just got home from a game. Yours truly discovered the quesarito. Enough said. But good stuff, man. Appreciate you as always. Enjoy the baseball. Enjoy the gambling. Hit the pool out there in Las Vegas if you got a chance to. Cool down a little bit. And as always, guys, get those bets in with Superbook Sports. We're working on some exciting stuff for the next couple of weeks. Football on the horizon, baseball in full effect, NBA draft, NHL draft, all that good stuff. Get those bets in with Superbook Sports, and away we go. For Unit in Nevada, I'm AP in Colorado. Enjoy your upcoming weekend. Good luck on the bets, and we'll chat with you guys next week on the Fast Five presented by Superbook Sports.